Alright, hello. So if you stumbled across this video, that means that you're probably wondering. Alright, there's so many items in the game. I want to know which ones are actually good, which ones are okay, which ones I should just not even bother getting. Well, you come to the right place, because I'll be explaining every single item, ranking from actually amazing, basically S tier, all the way to straight garbage, F tier. Now, onto the first one. So the first one we have is, and also by the way, I made this tier list because there wasn't any other ones. If you want to make your own thoughts about it, I'll leave this tier list in the description if you want to make your own opinions and whatnot. And yeah. So first one we got is the flashbang. The flashbang, I had a whole script for this, but I messed it up. But it's fine. The flashbang is an item that you can probably buy in the shop. It's found somewhat rarely, not as common, but you could find it. Unless you're in the not removed game mode audio clock. But yeah. This item, I played it with it before, and honestly it can really help you out in certain situations. For one, it is slightly a bit expensive. But I mean, it's only one fourth of your maximum coins per match. So I'd say if you end up fighting this item anywhere lying on the ground, it's best you pick it up. Only downside is you really have to make sure. I mean, an easy spot to get a guaranteed stun is to make sure you can just hit it straight on the floor as long as you're next to the monster, or unless you're somewhat confident and you can hit the monster straight in the head and their body rather than the ground. But honestly, from the way I've played with the flashbang and whatnot, I'd say it fits in a really good. It is a one-time use and you have limited range, but this can for sure help you out in some situations and create you some distance against the monster. Next we got is the basic flashlight. The basic flashlight is, I think, no, not second most cheapest in the shop, most cheapest thing you can get in the shop. It can be found really commonly on any map, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't serve any other purpose, it's just a basic light source. You equip it anywhere that you're facing, the light shows, whether you're going up and down. It is approximately pretty good. I mean, it's a flashlight, you need a light source for specific maps and whatnot. There are some maps where the flashlight can be useful, some that it cannot be useful. But in certain situations, since most of the maps, in my opinion, are rather a bit darker, this flashlight can really help you out in certain situations. As for example, the flashlight, even the normal one, can somewhat counter EXE, which I will make a video on monster counters and whatnot soon. It can really counter some monsters with the flashlight, really good source. So just to be straightforward, a flashlight, I'd say it's an alright. Not the absolute crazy, not the absolute worst, it's in the middle, it's pretty good. Next we got is the Doomfist glove. The Doomfist glove, as of right now, currently recording this, after yesterday's update, which is the Stricken aka Tinky Winky, it's actually really good now, honestly. At first, when this came out, it kept on getting changes back and forth, but as of now, it now has 3 charges. You're able to uppercut, and you're able to run with it now. Not while you're charging it, but when you're running with it in your hand. The item can be really good and strategizing against really cramped maps or any open map, just as long as you have distance between you and the monster, and if you're able to successfully charge those 3 shots and manage to knock back the monster 3 times. This item, if you end up finding this item, I would suggest you pick it up, which it's more of a defense rather than an offense, because I don't really think anybody in their right mind would just find a gauntlet and straight up go run straight up running to the monster trying to fucking push it back or whatnot. But besides that, I'd say it goes in a really good spot. So if you end up finding this item, I would suggest you pick it up and you use it. Now we got the mask. Right off the bat, it's not the best. As I'm currently recording now, the mask has been temporarily removed, which somewhat sucks because I don't think the mask should be in the game in the first place. But just to give you a brief down, the mask can be also bought from the shop for what I remember around 350 coins. This item is a very rare chance of spawning, usually where the monster spawns at, from what I last remember. If you end up finding the item, it has its very little pros and many cons. One of the pros is once you equip it, you're basically invincible. You never die. You don't die. And you're basically teaming up with the monster, basically. So double trouble in a way, but not really, because you're significantly more weaker. But that's not the only part. On to the downsides, the cons. One, if you use this mask right away, whether you bought it or you find it, and you still have not completed any of your objectives, you will not receive any monster chance, whether you win the match or you just pick it up right away. You will not be able to do any survivor task, and your only task is to kill basically everybody. Same with the monster. Another downside is you are constantly on a very slow speed, meaning you cannot really run up to anybody or whatnot. A slight pro is you do have infinite stamina, but you're very slow and survivors can kind of easily manage to get away from you. But if you do have the mask on, you can become a nuisance in certain situations. So another downside is once you have the mask, you can only do around, I'm not sure what the damage was exactly, but I think it's around 15 to 18 if I'm not mistaken, or maybe lower than that. So you obviously don't one-shot anybody as a monster, but I mean, hey, you do some damage so you can at least help the monster out, whether you're trying to help him or take kills for yourself, really. But to sum it up, honestly, the mask, it's not the best. Also forgot to mention the fact that the downside, it takes a extreme amount of time just to pick it up. So if you find it, I would suggest you either don't bother picking it up, or, which I'll explain the other method in a future video, because you know, got a lot of ideas and a lot of strategies and whatnot. But honestly, mask, it's not the best. Honestly, I would rather just avoid using the mask, unless you want to be one of those people which you end up putting it on. I've noticed people like to put it on as a last survivor resort, whether you're about to die or you complete your objectives, but I'd say it's not the best. Medkit. This is just straight up S tier, actually amazing. I don't understand who would disagree with me. It has, I mean, pretty straightforward pros and maybe a tiny bit of cons. Straightforward pros, let's be simple. You get all your health back. You're no longer in bone break. And what I remember, it does heal you up to maybe 60, 70 health minimum, max, I think. I'm not really sure, depending how much you're missing. But not in fact, it's a medkit, obviously. You can find it pretty uncommonly on most maps. Pretty straightforward. I recommend you pick this up whenever you find a chance, or you could buy it in the shop for relatively cheap. Slight downsides I can mention is, one, you cannot run while you're healing, which, I mean, it makes sense, obviously. Two is you have to wait for approximately 5, 6, 7 seconds to heal. Doesn't take that long, but you're still slightly vulnerable for a little bit. Another thing is, I mean, just to get it out the way, you can't really carry more than one medkit, so you're only allowed to. I mean, this goes for every item except the flashlights, because you can have both flashlights, whether it's the basic and the pro. But besides that, medkit, just to put it simply, it's straight up actually amazing. It's really good. I don't understand who would disagree with me. On to the next item that we got is Stefano. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Before Stefano got reworked, this dude was an actual S tier to a high A tier, I'd say. Only reason being that before he got reworked, or rather changed, all you did was have a slight speed boost and that's pretty much it, honestly, just a slight speed boost. And you could buy it in the shop, which means you could have constantly been buying it, outrunning. Some downsides for Stefano are he has a very short usage, meaning as soon as you take it out, his usage item or span will start draining drastically while you have it equipped. So not really much to go there. But Stefano now, I'm gonna be real, he's absolutely garbage. The reason why I say that is, as I'm currently now, he's only useful is you can basically locate any monster that's near you, but you must be in really close approximate range for Stefano to actually work. I mean, some pros is that he no longer has a lifespan, meaning that you can just forever hold him. But the only downsides are if you unequip and equip, it takes about a couple seconds, 2 or 3, to gain back the Stefano effect. Another thing I've noticed is if you're using any perks, the video on that soon, it would completely just override, or let alone just break the monster spotter, I forgot what it's called, danger vision. It would just basically break it, meaning that if you have danger vision with Stefano, it would not work. So, and the fact that if you end up getting hit while equipping Stefano, you drop Stefano, which, I mean, you can just pick it back up really, but in my opinion, Stefano now, he's actually just garbage. I would not even bother picking it up, just a waste of space, honestly. I mean, he can work for some monsters like PCX, Fogborn, whatnot, but I mean, unless you've been playing Pillar Chase for a while and you're kind of a pretty skilled survivor, you can kind of tell whether they're nearby or not, or anybody really. So yeah, Stefano, just straight up garbage, don't pick up. Next we got the Ultra Flashlight. I'd say it's this flashlight, but better, obviously. Has a bigger light radius, more brighter, has a way better lifespan than the original flashlight. And that's pretty much it. You can kind of find it uncommonly in some maps. Pretty useful in dark maps, any map in general. So I would just sum it up real quick. It's an A tier, pretty good flashlight. I would recommend you pick it up because it's a flashlight. Unless you don't feel like it, then hey, who am I to say? On to the last item, the glow stick. In my opinion, the glow stick is not the best. Honestly, from my experience, this is just from my thoughts and whatnot. A reason I say, okay, there's some pros. One is that it is currently, as I'm recording, the cheapest item to get, only costing 2 coins. You can find this really easily on any map. You can spot it from anywhere. Next is that it has an infinite usage, meaning you can not worry about wasting the stamina of the light or whatnot. I don't know how to say it. And it's a really bright light source, but it comes with some downsides, which is one, since it creates a very bright light, any monster can pretty much find where you're at because that glow stick is giving away your location. Which for me, whenever I play Pillar Chase, I tend to avoid the glow stick because it basically gives away your location to the monster and anybody else you're nearby, which gives off their location too. And the fact that well, it's not for me, but for other people, it could be too bright and it could affect people's screens and whatnot. But just for me, it's a very big light source. You can be spotted easily by monsters or whatnot. Could work on some really dark maps, but that's depending on how you view the glow stick as. So honestly, I'd say just D tier. For me, it's not really that best. I would mostly just avoid picking up the glow stick. Unless you prefer to be someone with light on you at all times, then hey, go ahead. But I mean, that's about it. That's kind of my straightforward tier list, Pillar Chase 2 item tier list. If you have any thoughts and suggestions, leave them down below. If you want to access this tier list, I left it in the description once again from earlier in the video, and that's pretty much about it. I'll be making the Stricken / Tinky Winky how to in my next video. So until then, I'll see you guys later.